right, so let's welcome Mr. Curtis Williams. He is president of the Tobago Chamber of Commerce. And of course, we are here to talk. Well, let me get straight to it. You said that the new administration have no honeymoon period because the business community is willing and ready to go. Just expand on that statement you made without, with no apology.
Okay. But let me start off by saying morning to your viewers and listeners. Also, I just want to say we want to send congrats to the leader of the TPP, as Mr. Farley Augustine, and his team for that victory on the THA election. So we put the house in order. So what we actually want to tell the assembly that we don't have time for the OJT anymore. No, we're done with the OJT.
Right.
We're down to business now. This 4 years have to be 4 years of meaningfulness, and it cannot be we trying to find, you're trying to put fit in things in. No, we already done that. All adjustment done is ready to run with. Now I knew that the chief said give the secretaries and them 9 months. And it's something that I wondered. You're giving someone 9 months, yes, but you must give them some perimeters. Because in 9 months, you could come and tell you that I now start. In 9 months, you could tell me I'm halfway, or in 9 months, I could be finished. So not to get people competing and getting them just going overboard, because again, when these secretaries heard about the 9 months, probably some of them would get butterflies and start to push things as they're not supposed to. And so the reason why I said, all we just ask for is accountability. So within your period, say for instance, rather be like you're going to develop a space in Scarborough, you're going to do something on the field, or we're going to light the field, or you're going to do some work on the field. So within that 9 months, before the 9 months end, you should be giving me like a status report every 2 months or 3 months, and let the whole of Tobago know about it.
Exactly.
I think what was happening in the THA, there are a lot of things happening in the THA
Nobody
that
knew.
the average person don't know. Don't feel everybody is locked onto social media. Right? Folks around my age, some of us, we leave the social media down a little bit. Mr. Cox and them,
you're not fight over that.
Right. So it is always important to go back to traditional media and really inform the public of what's happening in the space. And I think that's very, very much important.
All right.
For the THA.
Okay.
And before we divert into the other topic, I need to ask, with the THA having no opposition, how do you view this particular situation in terms of accountability and actually following through with the demands that you're making now?
Well, I indicated on a media house last time that with no opposition, it's scary. It could be scary. Right? That means that the chief sec now had to hold his secretaries to a higher standard, and it's real high. Listen to me. We're going to set the standard real high, and it meant that the secretaries have to understand that, and in delivering and doing their doings now, they have to stay to some sort of code of ethics that keeps the assembly together and keep themselves together. We, civil society and other interest groups will definitely be holding the THA to accountability. The media is the most important one. So as I indicated, when projects is being drawn out, it's up to the authorities to get their communication people together and let these information be voiced and let everybody knows what's happening in this space. And I think that's a bit of transparency that can happen.
All right. So let's go to for the business community. We are waiting the arrival of the Blue Wave. Blue Wave happening. Blue Wave happening. You see the Blue Wave election, Blue Wave happening. All right, okay. So let's get there. Is expected on the 22nd? And
well, yeah, that was the last information we got. We expected on the 22nd. We know you're going to take probably 5 days or so to get all the license and do all the workups, etc. So roughly, I said by month 10, the vessel will be in place by month 10, if all things go well.
All right. How is it now in the interim? The vessel has left, the cabo star's gone? Yeah.
The cabo star gone, yes, definitely.
And what is in place presently?
So in place now, we have the port just sent us a recent bulletin that we have the Guardian Passage and the Spirit in place to take cargoes. They only can take up to the trucks and them, not the heavy trucks, the lighter trucks they can take. And they're only going with essential food and beverage, medicine, and anything pertaining to that. So the construction people is a bit kind of worried. They know that they can't bring up some of the heavy materials and all the other stuff. The sand and the other stuff used to come from Trinidad. Those stuff not coming as we speak, right? Unless something put in place, a badge or something, but the heavy material cannot come up. But the food and beverage, we're pretty much okay. We don't have any alarm, nothing, no bells are ringing so far.
All right.
And let's not put on that. And but we are, again, as I indicated, there are some of the suppliers who want the heavy stuff that cannot come across. And you know, there's a big tussle to get the stuff onto these vessels, because it is a first come serve basis, and critical. Again, we said just food and beverage, medication, medicine, and so forth. But and again, it's for until, let's keep our fingers crossed, by month end we should be back to normal. And so we're waiting for the new wave Harmony, that new vessel. From the information I got, the specs and everything, it looks huge. It looks like it could do a lot of stuff. So let's see. The proof of the pudding is in the eating, and we're looking forward to that. As I indicated, just to go back with the THA, the Chief Sec just ruled out his secretaries, and he did make some statements, and I want to applaud the Chief Sec on that, because it is the first time in the history of the Chamber that the THA is actually listening to the business community. And I'm happy about that. I'm really, my members are overwhelmed with that, knowing that there are things that we held meetings with the THA, and these things have been discussed. And today I'm seeing the THA is championing, through the Chief Sec, championing those things. And one of them is the big OPR. And that's a big thing for us for contracts and so forth. And I'm happy to see that. And I wish the THA could continue that relationship with the business community, tighten the relationship, and let's move ahead to bring Tobago into the space we want it to.
Excellent.
Okay, just quickly, in terms of the Blue Wave Harmony, the specs are more welcoming, you're saying, in terms of what it can cater to and accommodate. I know there's a refrigerated system and some other special specs as opposed to what we were accustomed to with the Cargo Star. You're saying it's a better vessel, more or less.
Based on the information I read, again, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, so we need to see it for ourselves. There's a refrigerated part, so if you have cold storage, you probably could put the cold storage inside there. The excess cargo, you know, on the vessel we have something called excess cargo that the guys and them normally put on pallets and put outside the deck. They don't really go on any trucks or any flatbed, they go outside. So some of these excess cargo may be cool stuff that you could put into these chill spaces, which is good. Really, really, really good. So we're looking forward to it, and as I said, it can hold more vehicles with the trucks. So let's see how it works. Definitely.
Very good. I like when you said, all right, so, you know, both of us agree that Tobago should be reliant on itself for a number of things. If the Chamber had to advise, when we look at what we are bringing from Trinidad, there are some of the stuff that we can, agriculture produce. You said food and beverage. There are things that we can do here to contribute to our own sustainability. This new administration mandate that they were given by the public, that too is anticipated somewhere, even though nobody might ask. You know, why are we importing bread? Why are we importing blocks? We have a block manufacturer. Why are we? So is there a vision that you would want to not necessarily impose, but the Chamber can recommend, so it eases the burden of reliance and dependency on this boat business? And we have spoken to varying areas that we can do, but there are basic things, Mr. Williams, that we don't necessarily have to import, only if we invest.
Correct, and you're right about that. Let's use a simple example like bread. The amount of bread that comes from Trinidad to Tobago. And that's up to the other day, I seen coconut bacon all coming from Trinidad.
Wow. And you're wondering what kind?
What kind, because it was so soft. It was like bread.
Yeah.
It wasn't the real coconut bake like what they would normally get when I go to some of the supermarkets. You see some real Tobago coconut bake. And so we met that we have to develop these industries. We at the Chamber, we have plenty of work to do. We want to get a thriving private sector. We have to use the enablers, which is the THA, and we have to develop our people here, our Tobagonians, to get into these. Tobago Baking Service has been around since I was a little boy, right? And the bread is still the same way, right? And not to bash Tobago's Baking Service, but they have been around since I was a little boy. Rather be, I ain't want to tell them age.
But I know it's been around a long time. Yes, of course.
And if they cannot up their ante, something is wrong.
Okay.
So the bread is heavy, as you can know. You notice some of the bread is a little heavy, and then we look at the shelf life, and then we look at the quality and all of that. And so those are little things that we had to look into, we had to invest into. We sometimes is our own sin, you know. So we had to understand what we have on the island. We also have another bakery somewhere in Nipdeck there, I remember, and Daily Bread or something like that. And they were coming out good, and then suddenly they just fall apart. So, but Tobago Baking Service could be our case.
All right.
And there, I mean, there had to be some kind of innovation going in there, some new minds, some young ones, because he was an old guy, and I remember his wife was somebody, real old folks.
And they died. And
right. So I'd say, listen to me, let's transform that industry into something modern. Let us look at the modern way of getting things done, getting the quality of the bread out, and so forth, and see if those bread could fill it. Because it's small, because we have Countryside and some other small, they can't really fill the shelves.
Exactly, right.
So hence the reason why KISS come and get the up on all of us here.
Yeah.
Because we, Tobago, sitting down waiting. I don't know what we're waiting on.
All right.
But we had to kind of push ourselves. I know we have been in a downward spiral for a while. You know, things haven't been looking nice. Some of us don't feel encouraged. But I think 2026 could be, there's some sort of encouragement going forward. So let's go with the flow.
All right, and I want to stay there a little bit, because I hear politicians say we need to boost the private sector. And when you look around, this private sector barely could employ, let's say, 50 people per year, if you really examine all the private entities that make up what we call the private sector in Tobago. You just touch on an industry there, right? Dashing bread, and whatever type of bread that can contribute to us stop importing or relying on the boat for bread. What do we know? I'm staying there because there are other industries that needs an injection. And we can say that we're relying on the THA, and if the THA ain't doing it, it can't happen. The entities like yours can and does provide services for developing your business. Avenues for borrowing and all that sort of thing can be accommodated or assisted by the chamber. Is there a project that the chamber would want to undertake? As you mentioned, let's say the bakery, and not necessarily that particular bakery, but there are other bakeries that we can develop to provide that quality of bread and the volume of bread. Thereby that sector, that industry employs the fella to chew in the flour, the fella to, you get where I'm going. Shouldn't that be undertaken by the private sector with the support of the chamber? And who are we to approach to have that injection so that we don't have to rely on a boat bringing bread?
Brother B, and you're correct, but again, as indicated, we the business people sometimes is the one that was really stymie our growth. Sometimes you're making $100 and tell yourself, hey, you see that? I enough, me.
Okay.
That,
all right, okay.
And they stop there,
okay.
That's what happening with Tobago Baking Service,
Okay.
You bake 2 pallets of bread and they say, hey, that done, we done there, Like this, brother B. We ain't going further than that.
Okay.
The man with the lettuce, he do 200 head, and he say he done, and he going, and his wife, they going on honeymoon, or they going on the beach now and forget about garden. So the thing is not consistent.
Okay.
That's why Subway today want lettuce, and they can't get lettuce from our local farmers. Every time I go to get salads at Subway, there's no lettuce. Why are we waiting for this truck to bring up lettuce from Trinidad?
Yeah.
And we are local farmers here who growing nice lettuce. But again, the thing is not consistent. So today you go and you get 200 heads of lettuce. Beautiful. And then next week,
you can't get
nothing. And that is the problem that we have. We have to be consistent.
So in all areas of that type?
In all areas.
Okay,
I see business folks say, you see me, after I make my $100, I think that's enough, and I close up and I go, and I had enough. But we're not looking at growth, we're not looking at sustainability, we're not looking at future expansion. These things are out of our mix. We only, as I tell you, we only want to work with a penny and we're happy. The penny, we could pay the bills and we could put a little chocolate in my pocket and I'm good to go. I want to go further than that. The innovation and all that I just tell you about, that takes the grit. And how much of us is willing to push that in the private sector? And yes, there's a private sector, but the private sector is gloomy. The private sector need to grow.
Yeah,
now, what we see in Tobago, the main movers of things happening in Tobago, if we want to get Tobago hot and moving, there's 2 things that happen in Tobago to make it happen, construction and tourism.
All right. Good.
And if you hit those 2 things,
right.
Those 2 buttons is what you have to press. If you press the construction and tourism button,
all
you
right.
will see how this island start to get vibrant.
Mr. Cox, give me 1 minute with that construction. You just read something there that I know. That construction turns any, if you want to call it economy, right? Yeah. Now, we have 2 pending major hotels, particularly, the last time you mentioned it when you went.
The
Marriott. When do we, and is it the chamber to call on, because I don't know where the documents are, whether they sign it, the final signing for these projects to start. This is 2026. You said there's no time for on-the-job training. Whose responsibility is, and who do we call on to get this project up and running?
You remember what the chief sec said? The EMA and all these bodies that keep you back.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I tell you, I had a project I had to wait 4 years.
Yeah.
Whether it be 4 years to get approval. 4 years. And that is the problem, brother. We facing all these red tape and these institutions that logged in Trinidad and they hold you at your throat. Brother, listen, for that 4 years you're at your throat, and the only thing you just leave there is the ball. But you have pride, so you're balling. But they could strangle you. So all these red tape and institutions that holds you back. So Marriott, yes, I think they reach a stage where they're completed all that they have to do, and they're just waiting on the organization to give them the go. And I think with that, at the advent of that happening, Brother B, we will start to see a little still. As I said, to move this small Tobago, there are things that we have to do, things we could do quickly. And the quickest thing to be done to stir the economy is construction and tourism. So we know with that whole construction, because that can put a whole kind of everybody get excited.
Yeah.
And you just thinking, just sit down. I sat there thinking, a hotel of probably 300 rooms and needed bread or needed fish or needed vegetables. And I think, all the things that you could supply to this, and you had to put yourself in groups like how we are the chamber and different association, the farmers association and the fisher folk. That's how the hotel will approach. They don't want to put an individual so that they will feel them next week.
Exactly.
So they want to approach an association that they will have continuously fresh fish coming. And they will have fish at a price. So whether the price go up or the price go down, my contracted price for you to supply fish is $30 a pound. So that means I'm going to take 100 head or 100 pounds of fish every day from you. And that's the kind of business that brother, is sustainable. And that's what we want to let the farmers and the other fisher folks and all the other people interest group start thinking. These are trickle-down industries that could benefit from them. And that will keep the island warm. What about employment? We're looking for staff. The other day, somebody told me they're looking for a good chef. They can't find any. They can't find any. So they had to go overseas. They had to go to Trinidad, and they had to go up the island to look for a proper chef. So a chef that is trained, internationally recognized. Not a chef that is trained by Granny to make big. No, we want international. We want consistency in the product that we produce. So one day you eat the big hard, and next day you eat the big soft. Next day you don't know what's going on with the big. So it's important that we have consistency in our food and beverage. When you make the drink, you want the drink to be the same. Right? You're not going to be only reading the recipe every time you're going to do the drink. You have to retain it. But the guy who making the drink, the bartender and mixology, have to be trained. And if he trained to a level now, he'll be consistent in the end product. And it's the end product the guests will feel happy about. And that is important. So when you go for breakfast now, you will see some of the local delicacies on the breakfast, on the buffet, and all the good things that goes with it. It's important that, so why is all of that happening, Brother B? So much work we had to do, we had to develop the human capital. So hotel school had to get on fire. Hotel school had to know that, hey, we had to turn out chefs, we had to turn out food and beverage servers, we had to turn out middle management, we had to look at higher order management, we had to turn out GMs. How we turn out GMs? Who managing a 1-star, 2-star? No, you had to go to get the 4- and 5-star experience. Right? So in my time working with Disney, you get that vast of experience. You see what 700-800 seating in one dining. You have 2 seating. You call it 2 seating. So you are actually in 1,600 persons that you are actually going to feed within one night. So you have 2 seating, first seating and second seating, and you're moving around that dining room, tablecloths, move everything clean back, dining room back as from day one. But those things are important, and the only people who could speak about those things is people who have been out there and experienced it. But we've been there, we see it, I'm not talking something that I read in a book, but we are running the speed, and this is it. So that's what we had to instill in the Tobagonians now. So we had to have people going towards food and beverage. Hospitality had to be something of the norm. The tour guides had to be trained. The taxi drivers had to be trained. There's a room for everybody in this thing. And don't think it's just, the construction and, or the chefs. No, there are room for everybody in Tobago. The entertainment, the dancers, we had to have shows. We could do local shows, and the shows had to be of quality, no chat. The thing had to be good, of good quality.
Yes.
And that is the thing that we got to attract. So when it's supposed to, I was in Tobago on my vacation, on my honeymoon, and that show they have after dinner was so good. And I see the talent, I see the history, the rich history of Tobago. I see the culture of Tobago through that show. Yeah. And I want to go back.
Excellent. Yeah.
And I tell it my friends.
Mr. Williams, since you mentioned the lettuce situation, I can't stop thinking about it because I love my lettuce, and I'm realizing, is there a shortage of lettuce on the island?
But this is the problem. There's nobody consistent in getting the thing down. And that's the biggest problem I have, I tell you, listen to me, I eat salad all the time. That's one of my favorite dishes. And I can tell you, every time I visit and I watch it and I see the foreign lettuce, I know the lettuce, I know the different types of lettuce, the iceberg, whatever you tell me about it, and I'm not seeing my local lettuce. And Subway is willing, I asked the supervisor, I asked him, are you willing to take it? Say, yes, if they're consistent.
Right.
But you can't give me like 200 and then tomorrow I want another 100. You do harm and tell me wait. So I go tell the customer you can't get a salad today.
I can't forget, brother.
I had that experience.
Supply, product. But in terms of the Trinidad and Tobago Bureau standards, is it applicable in the Tobago context? What would be the organization, the agency to monitor and assist with keeping up the standards? And I guess if someone is in the food industry, you would want the quality and you would want the quantity on a consistent basis. Who is in charge of monitoring and regulatorizing that sort of arrangement?
And I'm glad you asked that. The Bureau of Standard have an office in Tobago. I don't know if it's open, but the sign is there down at Crown Point. So I don't know what they're doing much. Because most of the standards now are voluntary standards. They're not putative standards. They tell you, okay, do that now. You're going to be a nice boy if you do that. And that's it. And they're really standard to set so that you meet these things. Because I remember at Hilton when I was doing my management training in Trinidad, when any provision, any farmers come, we used to visit the farm, you know. We visit the farm, and even when the farmers bring the produce at the hotel, nobody could touch that. You have an area that you have to put the produce in. Right? It's a kind of wash bay. Like you have to put, especially produce that they don't have to cook. You have to pass cucumber, tomatoes, and all these things. You have to pass through that wash area, that sanitizing area before it gets into the hotel. So that area is off on the outside. So the farmers know you have to pass all the produce through that sanitizing area before it gets into the hotel. That's international standard.
Yes.
Not somebody just bring the thing and you just carry it inside the kitchen just so, and you're carrying all the bacteria and you're carrying all the pesticide and everything like that. And then you have to get the information on when last he sprayed the crop and what insecticide he used. You must know these things, and it must be organic. Again, we're trying to push organic. We're trying to push clean air, clean everything here, clean, green, and serene. But we have to understand the pesticide and the chemicals used in these vegetables and how it would affect us. So if you could tell the folks that, hey, my farm is organic. I visit your farm twice every time. You know, if you visit it just before you're going and pick the crop. You reap it. So that you're able to know the standard, and then you're asking them, can I see the chemicals they're using? Let's read the chemicals. Let's make sure these chemicals do break down. Because some of the chemicals don't break down, brother.
Wow.
I'm going to tell you about it because I was there. I was in food and safety. I will tell you, some of them don't break down. Right. And so when you bring it to the hotel, it stays there, and now the food is not going to cook. So that chemical residue stays there, and it goes into you. And it's important that we understand it. So those in the food and beverage areas and those in the farming have to know there's a word we used to call HACCP. Right? HACCP. And you will find the critical control points in which you now have to control the vegetables coming in and all that. So these are things, that's why I tell you, and I learned this thing from hotel school. I learned this from hotel school. You see, I'm not talking about food yet. In food, I mean cooking food and all that. I learned all that aspect of it. And that's why I tell you, you have to train at that level of international level so that you'll be able to advise. And if you don't know, you just don't know.
Exactly. Mr. Williams, so we turn a page and we enter 2026 and a new chapter, the new elected assembly, administration, and so on. In terms of translating all of this talk that we hear into actual action, what would you say? You mentioned it earlier on. You said construction and tourism should be priority sectors for us to approach, and also what sort of incentives the business community should be given in terms of priority incentives to deal with the logistics and the standards and all of the things that they mentioned earlier on in the conversation.
And that's why I took the blueprint and I sent it to our membership and tell them, read the blueprint.
The blueprint presented by...
Yes, read the blueprint. If that is the THA plan to go forward, read it.
Yes.
Get yourself familiar with the blueprint. After getting yourself familiar with the blueprint, now you can pull some things out of that. I pull out development. I look at the development aspect of it because I seen where money is. So I look into put myself in a position, posture yourself, put myself in a position to give. So I look at the blueprint now, and there's supposed to be an actionable part of the blueprint in which the chief secretary is going to lay out. So I can't wait for that part now. Again, now, You had to listen to these things, and I don't let this pass. The average man had to tune into the radio or tune into the television or somewhere
know what's going on
and see what's going on so that you could take full advantage of what's happening there and put yourself in that position. So if you know your finances not in order, come by the chamber. We're going to talk to you how to get your finance in order to take advantage of what that document having it and what the teacher is going to put out there. If you know you're having challenges of just putting things together, whether it's just the OPR as we spoke about, and we know the Chief Secretary is looking into it so that you get some local content, come speak to us at the chamber, the Tobago division. We are willing to assist in that process. If you know you're having problems with marketing, come speak to us. Brother B, we have all the resources at the chamber, and we are willing to help the business people here. Yes, we want you to be a member, but I know after we have demonstrated what we can do, you will definitely join immediately.
Exactly.
Someone don't worry about fees, you will just join.
Someone is asking for a contact number, so share that contact number.
Or the contact number for the chamber is 639-2669. 639-2669. Brother B, we on Facebook. Look for us. Look at it, tobagochamber.org. Yes, we all over, and we are telling the business people in Tobago, don't matter how small you are, the mini-marts, the farmers, the skilled man, the carpenters, the electricians, we want you to come in so that you could understand, because when you're approaching these international hotels and other entities, they don't want an individual. They always like an entity.
Exactly.
So that
But and you say that, let me just go back there. Right? So what you're saying to farmers, let's say farmers, right? Agro producers, form yourself into a cooperative. So that this week, you can run out of lettuce. So you have about 3-4 lettuce producers. And that is all they do. And so this week, you're going to send your lettuce. Next week is Peter Wood. So the thing keep rotating, because if we really had to rely on one lettuce farmer, I know of a lettuce farmer right down there in Lowlands there. He begging for a piece of land, and he does it through the organic, through the water thing, what do you call it?
Hydroponics?
Hydroponics. And he has to supply, and his demand, he's struggling to meet it.
And I like what you said.
Right. So the cooperative,
Yes.
and from a business standpoint, how important it is for people to form cooperatives in their field. If it is, let's say, fishermen, they have a cooperative. Peter, you bring in all your fish. You have 100 pounds, so you'll get paid for your 100 pounds. You don't get the money right away, but until, speak to them.
And that is important. As you realize that any, like the cruise ships and all of them, what they deal with is a cooperative. They don't want to deal with one maxi man or one taxi man, as you end up in trouble. So you have to deal with the cooperative so that in case that one man maxi breakdown or whatever, you still have more maxis,
Exactly.
you still have more taxis. And same thing with the farmers now. Put yourself into a cooperative. I know there's an association, and put yourself together. Know all the produce, all the crops that they produce per year. So you know, well, January, we this one doing this one, this. So you know what your farmers doing, and you could approach these entities now and sell them the proposal, give them a price, stay at your price. Your price going to be for 6 months, the price going to be for 12 months. Hold on to your price. Same thing with the fisher folk. The same thing, meet with these entities and put it. And again, the chamber will be there to endorse you. We will really want to assist you going forward. Again, the THA is the enablers. We ain't want to depend on no government money. We ain't into that business. We own money. We private money. Yes, we go take a little time. We're small, but we go make it. And that's it. We can't be big as Trinidad. It didn't happen overnight in Trinidad. But we in Tobago, once we have thinking, right-minded thinking people, and we have the trust and the energy, and we really want this thing to work, Brother B, it will work.
Excellent. Based on, so we're just ready to wrap, and we're going to keep you on, and we have a few more minutes, but just to, as we get to close, those young entrepreneurs, those dreamers, I discovered that there's a fella doing beard care. Juby is one of the on the calendar. What month is October?
Yeah, they give.
Right, so he's doing business with thing for your hair, for your beard. You and I, we don't have beard, so we but no, I'm talking about you was young. So he jump out, so to speak, and he's getting success. For the young dreamers, the business young entrepreneurs out there that are a little hesitant because they fear, you ain't gonna make $1 million in a day. Speak to those and what you are affording them as to get the necessary training and to run the business efficiently.
Yeah, Brother B, we welcome them to come to the chamber. We have TBAS, our business advisory services, that we could assist them meeting the exporters, meeting the market, getting the goods out into the market, whether it's in the Trinidad market, the regional market, or the international market. We go on trade shows, and we could bring them along. We not wait again. Do not wait. Don't wait for no government. We, private sector, can move you to the level in which you are. The sky's the limit, but you have to be willing to go the distance, and you have to be consistent in your product. So, Beardman, you have to be consistent in the product. The product has to reach its standard. Just test it with animals to make sure you're not using yes, you had to tick all those boxes. And if you don't tick those boxes, you have problems. So you had to tick all those boxes to make sure your product reach a level, and whether it's a plant-based or as a case, so again, so they could tick those boxes. When you get those stamps as a seal on your product, it's better for the outside world. So hence the reason why we ask them, you put all the active ingredients in it, so you don't put it on your decks with your whole face burn out and you want to know what the hell is man putting in this product. So all your product must be tested and reach the required standard so that you could go international and stand up.
And of course, you had to know to balance your books, know how much money you're making. Not, this guy, he was a banker, so he knows how to manage it. But there are those who don't know how to.
And you're correct about that. Most of the Tobago business and them having challenges with their finance, they do know how to do it. We at the chamber, we have accountants, we have all kind of people. Listen to me. We have the bunch of people there who are willing to help you. And sometimes the thing is at nearly no cost, I will say. It's so cheap or reasonable that they were willing to assist you to put your business where it ought to be. Come, the mini marts, the little saloons, and all the small business, all the budding entrepreneurs. But that'll be one thing before we go. We know we want to go into schools to the sixth formers. We want to start up business from that stage.
Excellent.
So that's one of our projects for this year. We're going into the schools and them to meet the level of the sixth formers to start to talk business at that level. Because that's something we don't teach. We don't teach entrepreneurship. We teach you how to do this and do that, but we ain't teaching you how to
run your own business.
And that's what we want to do for this.
All right. So
I guess they get a little intro into when you do MOB and POB, but I guess it's welcoming to have the chamber coming in physically to discuss further. But we want to thank you for being with us this morning, Mr. Williams. And I mean, one thing, Brother B, when you come here, you make it think along the lines of making money.
Of course. That's the idea. And,
so thank you for being with us this morning.
You could make money with lettuce, just produce lettuce in different stages, right? All right, so get a piece of land and start your business.